Hello, everybody in Spruce Society world. Such an exciting time. It's a wonderful holiday season, and I'm honored and just really pleased to be able to be with you tonight. I want to thank you to Melissa and the incredible leadership at Spruce Society allowing me on this call. More importantly, I just want to say a shout out to my wife, Tammy Marie, and it is her work that has allowed me even to have this moment with you. And I want to thank you. I'm going to share my screen and do a presentation. Will be short, and hopefully it'll add some value. So bear with me a second. Share. All right, everybody should see this presentation right now, and I want to just thank everyone for attending tonight. It's a simple concept, simple discussion, but oh man, it is not easy with what does it mean to get unstuck in 2023. Now, for everyone who's never been stuck, I want to say God bless you. I think that's only about 2 people in the world. So for the rest of us that have all been stuck at one time or another, or in 2022, we're stuck. What do you have to do to get to that next place? Let me introduce myself. My name is Eric Walton, and my wife, Tammy Marie, as I mentioned before, is an amazing diamond in this business. And I am a leadership coach, and I've been working with leaders in Young Living for the last 6 years. And one of the things that I know that a coach does is that we ask questions. So getting unstuck for me is what are the questions we need to ask ourselves. Let me give you just a perspective first on what it means to be stuck though, all right? So it really helps to understand what means. Am I in that situation? And what does it mean about my mindset to get shifted, to get unstuck? So let me just look at this first well. The reason to get unstuck is so that you can grow. If you are stuck, you will not grow. Your business won't grow, your relationships won't grow, and you're going to have trouble growing in your life as well. So growth is directly tied to this concept of being stuck and being unstuck. So the first one is that growth is a choice. You have to choose this. You have to make sure that you are making this decision. If you see the second bullet, it's only for people that want to be intentional. If you've heard me before, intentional is one of my favorite words. It means doing these things on purpose, making a decision that I'm not going to be stuck anymore. Because 98% of being unstuck is really making that decision to get there and finding a way to really believe in yourself. Everything in your life is an extension of you. I do like it when it says an extension of me. You have to start taking ownership. How did I get stuck? Why am I still stuck? How did this all happen? Look inside yourself. My business, my relationships, my family, we're only going to grow if I grow. If I choose not to grow, if I choose not to change, everything that I do is going to impact not just me, but those around me. This is the one that's so hard. The stagnation in my business is because my leaders are all stuck. Well, yeah, it's all their fault. Why are my leaders stuck? Because they are a direct reflection of me. If I'm stuck, my team is going to be stuck. It's very difficult to overcome that team vibe. If they feel that the leadership above them is stuck, it's very hard for them to get past that, to overcome it, to make changes themselves. So then they get stuck. So whenever someone on your team is stuck, look at yourself first. Are there things that you've done, things that you've presented? Did they see you being stuck? When they see you being stuck, they're going to reflect that. They're going to mirror that. They're going to be in the same situation. If you can't share, they can't share. If you don't know how to follow up, they won't know how to follow up. You could teach on it, but they have to see you model it. So this first part, before we start asking questions, is what does it really mean to be stuck? What does that look like? And then the last bullet on this slide is really cool. If I'm a firm believer in being intentional, you have to believe. You have to know that you're going to get unstuck. You have to choose that, and you have to believe in yourself. All right, so this is what I call the guiding. You have to understand that growth is a choice. You have to be intentional about going after growth. You have to recognize that that the reason that you're stuck is you, and that you have to recognize that nothing around you will grow unless you grow. And that when you have leaders that are stuck, it's almost always a direct reflection of you being stuck, right? This is what I call the foundational, the foundation, if you will. How do I get unstuck? You have to recognize where you're at. So as a coach, what do? I ask questions. So the first thing when I'm getting ready to go through 2023 is, what happened in 2022? Real important question. So why was I stuck? How many people are actually asking yourself that question? Not another question, that question. Why do you think you were stuck? Just really present that stuff to yourself for a moment. Think about it. Was it the pandemic? Okay, so the pandemic was a real influence. I know people who ran their business and thrived during the pandemic. How did they do it? They weren't stuck by what I was stuck with. You have to look at what the pandemic did to you. I was stuck because I just couldn't enroll, because historically I've always enrolled in person, right? Very legitimate comment. What are you going to do differently in 2023 to enroll? If you can't enroll in person, what are you going to do different? So wait a second, it's not my fault I can't enroll in person. Yeah, but what it is your fault for not changing your enrollment process, trying a different idea. What does it mean to go virtual? You don't even have to go necessarily social media, but what does it mean to go virtual? What are you doing to actually have this concept of enrollment not being affected by being able to be in person? So getting back to this question, why was I stuck? Do not let this thing go by you, and don't let it just be a surface question. Ask yourself the question and sit there, ponder it, think about it. Make sure that you have a really good, true insight as to why you're stuck. If you can't do that, in other words, you start this and something's just not clicking for you, and I'll realize I'm just going to go into a wide presentation. I should have done that. If you're just literally not able to find that answer, ask someone to coach you for a few moments. Ask them to ask you some questions. Sometimes it is hard for us to look at ourselves. So ask someone to be the coach. So Mary, what areas of your business were stuck? Listen to the answer. Was it a geographic issue? Was it a product-based issue? Was it waiting for sales issue? What was the nature of your business stuckness? So what was the basis of you being stuck? Was it emotional? Were there things going on in your team? Were there things going on in your family? Were there things going on in your life? You really have to dig into, why was I stuck in 2022? By the way, the rest of the questions don't matter if you don't come to the answer to the first one. Because this is really about getting unstuck. So you have to really answer the first question. Why was I stuck? Stay there for a while. Now, let's assume that you figure out that answer, and whether it's on your own or whether you get some help. And I don't mean to make this simple. I don't mean to make this lighthearted. You have to answer this question. But that now allows you to answer the rest of 2022 review. What went well? Oh my gosh, what happened good this year? And I'm going to let you know, every single business, something happened good, or you wouldn't even be on this call right now. People bought things. Legs were generating business. There were enrollments. Yeah, there were departures, but there were enrollments. Things happened. So focus first on everything that went well. Now, there's a reason why. If you did something that produced a really great result, what do you think the question is going to be for 2023? Can you repeat it? So you really want to know, what did you do well in 2022 so that you can find that opportunity to do it again, or to do it again with a slight twist, or to do it with maybe a slightly different emphasis. So what went well is really important. You want to be able to recognize the portions of your business that operated at a high efficiency, those of your business that saw success, the legs that had growth, those that ranked up, the OGV that was generated. You want to make sure that you know what went well. If you're a numbers person, go after the numbers. Get into virtual office and done that. If you're a EQ person, you're a relational person, then look at the relationships. What relationships went better? What relationships germinated in new business ideas, new business opportunities, new opportunities? What went well? Next one. What didn't go as you hoped for? So what didn't work? Some things that you tried that didn't result in some things that you wanted. What are some things you tried that fell flat on their face? Document them and then ask yourself, okay, what happened? Why didn't that work? Was it the right idea, the wrong time? Was it the wrong idea? I mean, what happened what that didn't go the way you wanted to? If you don't look back at 2022, you're literally doomed to repeat everything that happened in 2022 in 23. So you have to look at, let's find the stuff that went well. Can we do it again? And let's set the stuff that didn't go well, either fix it and put it in 23 or ditch it. You make those decisions unless you spend time going over what worked and what didn't work. Think about it for a second. What are some of the things that you were most proud of? You had a retreat at a local hotel, and it was unbelievable. You hadn't had a retreat before. You had not had a retreat in 3 years. What's something that you did that you're really proud of? So when you're looking at things that went well, I'm also looking for the emotional side to that. When you reflect back on 22, what are some things that just jump out at you? Oh my goodness. I'm telling you that when I went to convention for the first time in a couple of years and I met with my team, over the top. So what if you are so proud of that, this is not hard to figure out. What are you doing for the 2023 convention? And are you going to have a team meeting there? And if you're not, why not? Is there something that you think cannot be duplicated? Was something so unique about last year's convention that you can't do it again? That's okay. By the way, these means you're going to make intentional decisions. Don't make them unless you've done this review. So what actions am I most proud of last year? What portion of my growth am I most pleased with? I know this business can get really complex, but it comes down to legs and OGV. So which leg were you most proud of? Which leg had the most growth this year? Where did you see the most amount of OGV happen? I know they're interrelated, but they're two different things. So where did you get the most OGV? Why do you think that occurred? What did your enrollments look like? What did your inactives look like? You know how this works. If your inactives are greater than your enrollments, your team size shrank. If your enrollments were greater than your inactives, your team, by the way, these are ones that go inactive, then you're going to have greater growth. So what happened in your business? Look into it. What happened? What portion of your growth came from those dynamics? Understand what happened in your business. By the way, I don't want to make this sound like you're going to have to do a data dive that's going to take 4 weeks to do. You're not doing your taxes. The information is readily available on Virtual Office. Do some reports and just get a sense to look at. If you're not a numbers person, just do a leg map. Just do a leg map where you look at your legs and look at the people that are in those legs. Just look at the people. Don't worry about the numbers. Tell me which leg you're most proud of. Tell me which leg you know had the most amount of growth. And you know that because you're looking at the people that produce the growth. That's okay. What do I need to work on? When you're looking at those things that didn't go well, you have to look at the reasons behind them. I know that sometimes it's going to be circumstantial. Sometimes it's because you picked the wrong idea, but how did you pick that idea? What was the idea generation process? Was it brainstorming with your team? Did you do it on your own? Find out the mistakes or the things you didn't do as well as you would like, and determine, are there any trends, any patterns that you need to work on? Are there some things about the way that you educated that could be done better if you had some personal development going on around some of the oils? Were some things that could have been done better if you'd had some tools? There's lots of tools out there. Should you have signed up for some of those tools? What do you need to work on? Find out the things that are driving your business in 2022 that aren't going the way you want, and determine what you're going to do to make them turn around. Back to the relational side. Which leaders excelled? That's not going to be that hard. You know which ones did better. Here's the hard question. Why? Why did Mary do better? Why did June have a good year? By the way, this is not a critique. You want to know why they did well. You want to see if there's something that they did that you can replicate in the rest of your business. Find out why they had more enrollments. Everyone's done this where they have, a lot of teams have this one top enroller. Every month they're enrolling 10 people. Like, who are you? How are they doing it? And it's not because you can duplicate who they are, because you can't, but you can replicate some of the things that they do. Replicate means that you're taking the principle, you're taking the thought process about what they do, and you're applying it to your own business or helping someone else to do the same. Duplication means you're trying to copy. It's very difficult to copy people in this business. Very difficult. There's just one of everyone. So instead of trying to duplicate and copy someone, try to understand what they did so that you can replicate. You can take what they did and make it your own. That's why you want to look at which leaders are ranking up, which leaders are excelling, which leaders are growing, and try to find out the answer why. Now, to the other side, which leaders need help? You want to look at your downline, and you want to understand of all the leaders you have, here are the ones that are doing well. You want to know why, and here's the leaders that are not doing well. How can you help? What areas are they struggling in? Are they struggling because they're not enrolling and they need help on new ideas on how to share? Are they struggling because they're not doing a good job on following up? And so even though they are doing a good job of enrolling, no one's going any further. Are they struggling with getting people on loyalty rewards? They're having trouble making that value proposition for people to understand how incredible loyalty rewards helps them and also helps their business. Find out the areas that they're struggling with. Now, this is looking back. We're talking about 2022 and looking backwards. Real simple. If you don't look backwards, you're going to go forward blindly. So when you're trying to get unstuck, I need to believe that this is about me, that I can get myself unstuck, and I need to now look at my business and find the areas that went well. What could I learn from that? And find the things that didn't go well and make changes. That's looking backwards to make that happen. Real straightforward. All right, last slide. Well, that was looking back. Time to look forward. So what actions? Remember, we talked about trying to find those things that I did well. What can I do to repeat them? How can I make them more effective in 23? If you had a retreat and went real well, how can you have another retreat? What could you do to spice it up, mix it up, change it up, make it even better? But look at the things you did in 2022 that worked well and see how many of them that you can repeat or repeat with some slight twists. Take advantage of what you learned in last year and make it happen again. Now, I want to grow from last year, so I can't do just things I did last year. What new actions am I going to take this year? Where am I going to find challenges in what I do to make something different about me and the way that I do this business? How am I going to challenge myself to get out of my comfort zone and do something that's different? If I've never done a retreat, what will it take for me to do a retreat? If I have never been to convention, what will it take for me to go to convention? If I've never done an in-person event, what's it going to take to do one? If I've never done a Zoom call or a virtual event, what's it going to take to do one? If I've never done a social media campaign, what will it take to do one? You have to look at some new actions. By the way, there are so many things that you can do new that can change the trajectory of 2023. Now, if I take all those things, I don't want to do spaghetti on the wall, right? What I mean by that is, what do I hope to have happen from these new actions? Set the goals, and then here's one I like. Create your definition of success. It's a principle that I teach during my coaching. Think about this for a second. I'm going to have a retreat, right? I talked with someone just the other day about this. They were getting ready to have a retreat. And I said, what's your definition of success? If the people are walking out the door from the retreat, what do you want to have be the result? Well, the first things you thought of, I want to have 20 people come. Great. If 20 people show up, that's a measure of success. What's the second thing? You really like this. She says, I want them to clean up before they leave. So one of the definitions of success is that their house is not a total disaster. So cool. But what are some other things that are more tangible? She wanted them to leave. She was going to do a DIY retreat. She wanted them to leave with 3 new DIYs, not only that they could do, but that they could teach. I said, well, how are you going to know this? So she's going to actually make them, they're going to partner up, and they're going to make sure that they can teach at least one of the DIYs to the other person and get feedback. It's a great measurement. My definition of success is that they can go and reteach the DIY they like. Testing it, they're going to do it live right there during the retreat. They're going to actually have to teach their partner how to do it. What a great idea. I want to define what success looks like from these new actions. I want to make sure that I can measure them. Next one. Remember, we started with this thing being intentional. You have to be intentional. You cannot say, I'm going to work on my entire business, every leg, every person, every leader. You can't do that. I don't care how small your business is, it's going to be too much. So which legs am I going to focus on? Which legs am I going to invest into this year? Now, that means, by the way, the other legs you can't forget, but you're going to have more of a maintenance approach with them. Which ones do I really need to put my energy and effort into? Or are you going to cycle it? This month, I'm going to work on leg 1. This month, I'll work on leg 2. That's okay too, but you have to have a focused strategy for 2023. Where am I going to invest into? Which leaders am I going to invest into? Remember, we talked about getting a list of leaders. If these leaders over here are doing great, then you want to go into maintenance mode, keep them going, keep them supplied with ideas, connection, etc. But for these leaders, if you pour into them, your business is going to double in size. Let's invest. You have to make that decision, though, on which ones. Because here's the hard truth. You can't invest into everyone. Can't. Not enough time. And if you try to invest into everyone, you will water down your investment to so little, no one will get a big investment. It's like, instead of putting your money into 5 stocks, you're going to put your money into 1,000 stocks. And your return is going to be balanced. Great for retirement, not so great for running your business. Your business thrives when you invest into the right areas. How are you going to improve your skills this year? Remember, we were talking when we looked at 2022. What are some things that you can do better? Look at that list of what you could do better and determine, how can I improve them? Can I get training? Can I get some books? Can I get some help? Can I get some support from other people? Can I get some tools, some resources to help me improve my skills in this area? Determine what those areas are. Can't be a long list. You're going to focus in 2023. That's the whole key part. Being intentional and focusing on the things that will get you the greatest return are what's going to make the difference in 2023. All right, last question. What actions are you going to take to remain unstuck during the year? Well, one is you're not going to lose sight of the ownership. Never blame you getting stuck on anyone else. This is not like we're driving in the snow and the snow causes you to get stuck. Find out what's trying to get in your way, figure out how to go around it or go through it. Do not let anything get you stuck, because it's inside of you to overcome it. So make sure that you have that commitment to yourself that you're not going to get stuck this year. All right, great start. What happens if you do get stuck? You have to have an intentional strategy that you're not going to stay there very long. You're going to look at what's getting you stuck, what's holding you back, what's keeping you where you're at, and you're going to break through, break around, go around. You're going to determine what you can do. Do not let yourself get stuck for very long if it does happen. By the way, real world, everyone likes to say they're not going to get stuck all during the year, and then it happens, but don't let it sit there very long. Cry out for help, by the way. Ask for people to make a difference in your life. Really, come to Spruce Society, ask for help here. You're stuck on this. You don't know how to really replace savvy. You don't really know how to do those things to get your business going again. Ask for help. Do not let yourself stay there very long at all. Another thing to consider is getting an accountability partner. Having someone who's going to hold you accountable to your own goals, to your own definition of success. Find that individual that you can trust, and that it's going to be collaborative and two-way. You're going to hold them accountable, and they're going to hold you accountable. If you say I'm going to have a retreat in April, the other one's going to hold you accountable for doing the planning, getting the invitations out, making sure there's an agenda, making sure everyone's comfortable and that they've got some goals to accomplish. They're going to hold you accountable to make that retreat happen, because it was a major portion of your strategy. Develop your strategy for 2023, where you're going to make investment in legs with people and activities and actions. Figure out what that looks like, and then have someone who's going to be alongside of you that's going to help you make sure that you get that done. Do not let yourself stay there too long. So if you can really identify, what happened on how I got stuck, and that the responsibility to get unstuck lies with you. Growth is only going to come from you. Make the intentional decision that you're going to grow this year. Make the commitment to look back at 2022, what went well, what didn't. Ask yourself these questions for the review of last year. And then ask your questions for this year so that you can put a new plan into place, get some people that are going to have your back, and get after it. If you do all these things, I'm telling you now, 2023 is going to be your year. You will not get stuck. And if you do, you won't stay there long. You're going to grow because you're going to be intentional. You're going to invest in the right people, and the results are going to come back and they're going to feed you. That's what it means to get unstuck for 2023. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I hope that was of some help. I'm going to stop sharing, go back to my picture. And that would be the end of our discussion. Oh, wait a second, I do have one chat. What would that be? Unstuck is definitely going to be my word for 2023. Thank you for all these wonderful ideas. It was great. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope that was all well. For those that are looking, I guess it's the time that you say stop the recording. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.